Hi Flosstube, this is Kim, aka Spartan Stitcher on Instagram, and I am here with another weekly Flosstube update. This is Flosstube number 37. Today is the 7th of October, and here in North Dakota we have already had snow for this winter. It was last Wednesday, the 2nd of October, real late at night. We got a little bit of snow. It didn't stick around past, mid-morning the next day, but it was just enough where it stuck to the roofs of the houses and just a tiny bit in the grass, tops of trash cans, because, it was right before trash day. So it was just enough to say, oh, look, snow. But today the high is 66 degrees. Tomorrow it's supposed to get to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a really nice day. And then Wednesday, we have a snowstorm that could last several days. They're expecting 4 to 8 inches of snow here in the second week of October. So I don't know how long it'll last. I heard from the folks that have lived here for a while that last year for Halloween, the weather was fairly nice. It was cool, but it wasn't cold. So we shall see what October brings for North Dakota. So, stitching. I have been in a finish mood. I want to finish all my smaller pieces. So, I got 2 finishes this week. First thing, okay, so homework last week in the School of Magical Stitches and Literature, there was 3 tasks with a bonus. The first one was stitch a piece that begins with one of the letters in jealousy, and so I worked on the Shakespeare quote for my friend who's expecting her baby this month, and I finished it. I did that task and I was so close, so I just went ahead and finished it. So here is the finished piece. I have not ironed it yet. So let's see, focus, there you go. So this is by Stitch Rovia. It's called Shakespeare Quote, She is Fierce. And there you go. This is completely as charted. I didn't change it at all. So, and this will fit on a in a 5x7 frame. This is on 28 count Monaco over 2. So I will be going to stores downtown this week to find a frame that matches the all her furniture pieces in the baby's room, and we shall get that sent in the mail to California before the baby makes her grand appearance. So that was finished number 1. And then next in the, let's see, I got things out of order here. For the homework, there was a bathroom task where anything with a piece of water or any houses or such that had bathrooms, and also a dark piece for Voldemort being dark and depressing. And so for that, for both pieces, both tasks, I worked on a Hogwarts travel poster. This is by Country Magic Stitch on Etsy, by custom order only for this one. This was my New Year, New Start. And I also, so I did those 2 tasks on it, and I also double counted those stitches for full coverage phonetics by the numbers. So I got by the numbers for September done. Let me move this needle minder, my parked threads. Just made a mess. There we go. And focus. So I have a smidgen of the castle remaining. The cliffs, there's a little spot by the side of the lake down there to stitch. And then this whole Hogwarts school at the bottom. This whole section that's gridded. That's 18 stitches high by 128 or so across. So you'll be seeing this again soon, because I want to finish this year, since it was my New Year, New Start, and it'll be one full coverage piece off my whip list for next year. And then after that, I went to work on extra credit tasks. And one of the extra credit tasks is to work on a piece related to Aragog because he died in book 6. And, well, if you ask me, a blackwork piece reminds me of a spider web because spiders spin their webs one strand at a time. And it's an intricate pattern that comes together to create the design. Well, there's your, this is Satisfaction by Blackwork Journey. This is a freebie on her website. And so all I had left, I had 2 sides of this to finish. So that did not complete the extra credit task. That was 500 stitches because, back stitches only count as half. But it got me a finish. So I have 1 less whip. So I finished that, and then to finish the Aragog task, I went ahead and went to my class schedule cell by Armada Designs, which is every class at Hogwarts, and I only have the Cure Magical Creatures and Divination blocks to do. So I added a spider to the Cure Magical Creatures block, and then after I finished that task, I continued on that block and added a Pygmy Puff. And so I did that Pygmy Puff task. And once I get done with this week's homework, I'm going to continue on this piece for the collection task or something that is a part of an 8-part series or more. Sal's Count. And this one, of course, since it was a mystery Sal, was 12 parts, 1 part for each month. So there's my spider in honor of Aragog. There's my silly little Pygmy Puff. So I did the title of the class, and I started on, I got most of Buckbeak. I just got to finish his head. I'm not crazy about the colors. I don't really think they go together that well. But I got the task done. So then this will be Divination, and as charted, Divination across the top, and a crystal ball with a Grim in the middle. And I don't think I'll change that because the only other thing I can think of adding would be a teacup and for reading tea leaves. But to fit that in, I'd have to resize the crystal ball and the Grim inside. So I'll just keep it the Grim because I want this piece done. One less whip on my list. So I'll continue on that later this week. And then all we have left is my 90-day piece for quarter 4 in full coverage phonetics. You guys voted, and Trick or Treat had the most votes by Randall Spangler. And this is the one that I'm doing Extreme Cross Country, all the black first. And I am working on, yes, this side. So I did the dark part here of the shrub. And then I'm working on the cobblestone fence post. Because I was getting those other finishes and trying to finish all these tasks, I did not work on this as much as I wanted, but I still got 1,600 stitches done for the week, including today. I've already worked on it today. So there we go. So last week when you saw it, I only had a little bit of this dark area done, so I finished this whole dark area. There's more of the cobblestone fence post. I was just finishing a strand, and then I did the little bits down here, and then started building up on the cobblestone fence post. So after that, then I just have the iron fence posts, and there's the whole piece. I did get this into Pattern Keeper. I think there's 61 or 62,000 black stitches in this piece, and I have about 45,000 left. I don't think I'm going to get all the black done in quarter 4. No way can I get 45,000 stitches. I think for my 90-day challenges in full coverage phonetics for the quarter 1 and quarter 2, I got around 23,000 each quarter. So, but that hopefully will bring me at least one more row of pages up, maybe. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how many rows of pages I get done. But I definitely won't get all the black done this year. That's okay. I am using this piece, like I told you, I already worked on it today. This week's homework in full coverage phonetics is all about apparition. We're learning to apparate, and unfortunately, some of us are getting ourselves flinched. So the idea in the homework is that each house had a wheel spun by Vicky to see how many times they were going to get splinched, and then they had to work on that many whips. You can split up your stitches however you want in increments of 100. We want you to work on that many whips, but if you don't get to it, we'll still get partial points for what you get done. So if you don't get to all 4 whips for Ravenclaws, because we splinch 4 ways. Also, Hufflepuff and Gryffindor also splinch 4 ways. Slytherin only splinch 2 ways. So, the total stitches you're shooting for is 1,000, split over those number of whips. But if you don't get your full 1,000, still post what you get. You'll get partial points. So I need to work on 4 pieces. Trick or Treat is 1, since I'm working on that every day. I got like 350 stitches done today already. I'm going to work on a Hogwarts travel poster because I decided to make this my piece for by the numbers 1,200 this month. I told you guys the dimensions here. So 2,410 stitches. We'll see this part done and about 400 more in here. This is just over 2,000 stitches down here. And that's in like 3 or 4 colors. So I'll do the majority of my 1,000 stitches on here. And because it's 10 stitches, again, I have to double it. So we'll do a lot on this one, mostly, so I can, again, shoot for another finish. I'm going to also work on a Friendship Compass by Glen & Place, which is a freebie in their Facebook group, because that's another piece I want to get done. Trick or Treat is my 3rd, and then my 4th is going to be Sunday Delight by Randall Spangler, another full coverage piece, just because it hasn't seen nearly enough attention this year. I was going to do it one month for By the Numbers, and it didn't happen, so it needs some more stitches, even if it's only a few. So I have 3 full coverage pieces out of my 4 for the week. And then I'll go back to working on class schedule for the extra credit task. And then the only extra credit tasks I have left are a piece with a Horcrux, which I'll probably work on Friends Forever by Anne Stokes, because she is wearing a headpiece that looks like a diadem. And then I have to watch the movie and stitch after I get the class schedule piece done, or task done. So I've got three tasks remaining for stitching extra credit. So I've got a plan for all of those. That's all my stitching. Some life updates. Okay, so we had snow last week, Wednesday. I can't remember if I told you. Yeah, I told you we were going to get a snowstorm this week. 72 tomorrow. We're taking Hopper's cage outside to give it one last good cleaning using the hose before we disconnect the hose for the winter. Also because I can't manhandle that cage very well by myself. I can step inside and I fit inside the cage. Just to give you a mental image of how big it is. Like, it's big. And it's about this wide and almost as long as my arm span. And so it barely fits through a doorway. So getting it outside is kind of difficult, but cleaning it with a hose is much easier than trying to use a little spray bottle and a sponge, or like a green scrubby thing. So we'll get that done before my husband leaves. We cleaned up the garage and moved things around so that we can get both vehicles in the garage for the winter time. Oh, okay, so last week you knew my wet insulation was halfway being removed. They did finish removing that. Then we had like a huge blower fan in the crawl space running for over 2 days. And the facility manager for base housing was just here before I took my daughter to school to go stick his head down the crawl space, and he had a moisture reading instrument of some sort where you can just stick it down there. It can read how much moisture is in the air, or the humidity, I guess. And he said, yeah, it's still a little damp. There's other houses on base that are much more damp or wet than yours, so it'll keep slowly drying out. There is still a bit of an odor, but we did turn on the heat. We turned on the heat Friday when my girls went to bed. The only thing we're doing is we're still keeping the laundry room and utility room closed off from the rest of the house. So the odor isn't strong enough. The furnace is not spreading the odor very much, like tiny bit throughout the house. So the house is staying up to temperature, and we're keeping the laundry and utility room cooler because the door into the garage is open, and so it can constantly air out. And during the day when someone's home, we keep the garage open so it can constantly air out, so then it doesn't get too bad. But once we close everything out, then it starts getting stronger because it's not airing out anywhere. The facility manager said that they do not plan on replacing the insulation under the house in the crawl space because it is underground. It's under the grade of the ground. And because it's difficult, the hole to the crawl space is just big enough that a full-size man can get down. I mean, it's small. And B, you'd end up with the same problem in the future with the insulation just getting wet. I believe the insulation was just on the walls of the crawl space and not on the underside of our floors. But still, when it's -50 wind chill outside, the ground's going to be pretty darn cold. I don't know. I'm the type of person once my feet get cold, the rest of me gets cold, so I wear slippers almost all the time in the winter anyways. But my girls don't. But I'm thinking now that there's no insulation under the house, the floors might be even colder. So I'll probably have to buy them some slippers. But we'll see. And last thing, I just want to give a shout out to one Flosstube channel. She watches me. Julie, I'm talking about you. Julie and her daughter Alyssa of Stitching at the Cabin. They started making Flosstube videos a couple weeks ago. Julie is the one that took the ridiculous looking glasses that I tried for motion sickness. And she's still trying those out. You know, not everybody travels all the time. So she said they definitely didn't work at night, but she's going to try them again in the daytime. Anyways, go check out her channel with her and her daughter. They're really funny to watch. Julie does have a slight speech impediment. She can't pronounce the letter R, but seriously, it's not hard to understand what she's saying. And the two of them together are really funny. And if you like Hopper, chances are you're going to like their channel because they have 4 birds. You only get to see little glimpses of them, but that first video in a different part of their house, you get to hear all of them. And they were pretty impressed that I was able to identify what species of birds they had based on their vocalizations. Just shows how much of a bird geek I am. I know what each species of bird sounds like. I've been around a lot. So go check them out. They do everything from Teresa Wensler's Chatelaine Dimensions kits, Hades. They both have a Hade on the go or 2, and all different kinds of things. So her daughter Alyssa is an adult. She's in college, but also has some other financial type jobs as well. So go check them out. I will link their channel below. And I don't think I have anything else to talk about. Nope. Looking at my notes. Everybody have a good stitching week, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.